Asian Development Bank to provide substantial funds to Sri Lanka in the coming 3 years. Tensions in Parliament over the Economic Technology Cooperation Agreement. Government accepts the SLFP proposals on constitutional amendments. Sister of the chief suspect in the Paliagoda shooting arrested and remanded. Farmers agitated following the introduction of a new paddy purchasing mechanism.
A very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin with me, Shane Silva, and my co-anchor Aishwarya. Very good evening, Aishwarya.
Good evening, Shane. Let's take a look at the stories. Asian Development Bank President Takahiko Nakao called on President Maithripala Sirisena at the Presidential Secretariat.
The President of the Asian Development Bank had noted that the ADB hopes to provide more aid to Sri Lanka in the coming year, more than what was provided over the recent years. The President's media unit, quoting the ADB President, says that the ADB hopes to specially fund education and irrigation in Sri Lanka. ADB-funded projects in Sri Lanka were broadly discussed at the meeting. During the meeting, President Sirisena had noted that some of the projects in the recent past had not been implemented under a proper plan. The President had also noted that the government hopes to implement national projects both in the long and short term by identifying the development needs of the nation. The President added that he hopes to direct 100% of the funds for the projects in a transparent manner and will focus on the matter personally. A discussion between President Maithripala Sirisena and the members of the Association of the Sinhala Film Artists was held today at the Presidential Secretariat. The discussion was based on the current issues of the film industry in Sri Lanka. They requested not to give the authority to the private sector to distribute the films, but to retain that authority with the Film Corporation. The President said that the government will not hesitate to take necessary actions to protect the film industry of the country and the artist, and requested the artist to submit their suggestion in writing to him.
On to another story that made the headlines tonight now. The proposed Economic and Technology Cooperation Agreement, or ETCA, which is to be signed with India, was taken up for debate in Parliament today as well.
Lyrics from a song titled Aji Tapara Lalila says, the world has developed through knowledge in science and technology. People have even travelled to the moon. So are we the only ones who should be restricted in one place? This world has overtaken us and is ahead of us. Is that where we want to be? Following discussions with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a decision was made to scrap the CEPA agreement and come to an Indo-Sri Lanka Economic and Technology Cooperation Agreement. So that during mid-2016 was decided to sign this agreement. Drafts from the Sri Lankan camp is currently being prepared, which is what I said will be handed over in a day or two. The paragraph in the CEPA agreement on the free travel of natural persons as mentioned in the CEPA agreement has been omitted. So it is our belief that this paragraph covers all professional services, which allows people from both countries to work in either country based on their wish to. We are not in agreement to this. So I would like to reiterate to this House that the new agreement will not cover professional services. As I mentioned before, after formulating the drafts of both countries, an Indian delegation will arrive in the island on the 4th of March to further discuss these matters. The final draft of this agreement will be drawn only after this discussion. It is unfair to criticize the horoscope of an unborn child. They will see the future of this child only after they read the horoscope once he or she is born. We are giving birth to a child who has the characteristics of a king. Anyone knows that the monkey dances not to the way it pleases. But with that being said, we will not obstruct anyone from doing whatever dance they want to. Anyone has the freedom in this country to dance the way they want to. But we will not allow these dancers to burn this country down.
When Honourable Minister Malik Samaravikrama said that the doors will be open for IT and marine engineering service sectors, did he mean, as you said, opening the gates for the investment through these two sectors, or did he mean opening the economy for services of these two sectors?
Once we receive the Indian draft, then we will discuss both the drafts, because it can only be discussed if we receive the Indian draft. Information technology is a service. It is not a manufacturing industry. So this service will be opened.
Meanwhile, attention was also drawn on the initiation of an ambulance service with aid from a non-governmental institution in India.
Permission was granted for the Health Ministry to launch an ambulance service in the country together with a non-governmental organization in India which will provide paramedic services.
The Indian government will be paying for it for 2 years, after which we have to take it over and bear the cost.
Isn't the government of Sri Lanka spending a single cent on this? Explain what the agreement was.
We will provide this house on the agreement which was reached. We pay for these services. That is what we do.
So we pay for these services. Well, this is ridiculous. So when a company which comes and says that they will provide us with 100 ambulance without a tender procedure, we have to bear the cost of the service it provides.
Well, since you ask for it, I will give it to you. That is no issue. I was the one who went and asked them for this service.
Do we not have local entrepreneurs who can initiate such ambulance service?
We know the games they played. I am not going to expose them because I have no interest in doing so. But since you started it, if you bring up the games you played, the people of this country will only get more angry. If you can, bring someone who you helped. Fine, I say no. There is no one in this country who can do this. If you know someone, bring him and we will give him another province.
UPFA parliamentarian Vasudeva Nanayakkara raised a question from the speaker over the newspaper articles which were being published regarding the death threats levelled at the speaker.
The newspaper articles published on the death threats made against you say that you have pardoned them. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and Ruan Ferdinandez are involved in this. I wish to know, would you stop the investigations because of this? Please find the truth about this. This has been directed at the joint opposition.
A debate took place in Parliament after the group of UPFA MPs who called to be recognised as the independent group in Parliament were not given an opportunity to raise the questions under Standing Order 23.
In the meantime, Deputy Minister Ajit P. Pereira addressing a media briefing today and expressed the following views.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party and several other parties have presented several proposals for amendments on the Constitutional Assembly. Thereby, the complete proposal will be presented by us as per these amendments. We have accepted the proposals made by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. That is a notable factor. So there is no row or debate between the two main political parties in the country on the formulation of a new constitution.
Police have identified the chief suspect involved in the incident where 2 youths were shot at last night in Paliagoda. The police said that the elder sister of the suspect was arrested and was produced before the Colombo Additional Magistrate, where she was remanded until the 4th of next month. The shooting last night was the result of a personal dispute.
The shooting had taken place at around 9 last evening in the Poranakodawat area in Paliagoda. It has been revealed that an individual has arrived with his elder sister to shoot another individual who is also a resident from the area. However, the intended target was hurt, but 2 persons who were behind him were wounded by the gunshots.
When I arrived at the shop, I heard a noise. When I ran here to inspect what the noise was, I saw a woman and 3 other men. 1 person was wielding a gun. When I heard the noise, the shooting had already taken place. There was a boy. He is a relative of mine. He was on the ground.
They had followed me for 3-4 days. I was vigilant. This person went and came with a pistol. He called that man, and as soon as he arrived, he shot me. When he shot me, I was very close to him. I was about 3 feet away. He targeted my chest and bullet went passing my eyes. I saw fire near my eyes. As soon as the fire came out, he ran towards the forest with a weapon. The injured individuals were residents of the Poranakodawata and are 14 and 21 years of age.
My son was shot in the leg. What if it hit his heart? Save my child. Apprehend the person who carried out the shooting.
When me and my brother were going away after work, I got a call saying that my brother was shot. When we arrived there, they had left after the shooting. He had been shot for someone else's issue. We do not care about other people's issues. It is better if actions are taken to prevent such things happening in the country again.
The two youth who were injured have been admitted to the National Hospital, while the 21-year-old is receiving treatment at the intensive care unit.
There are injuries to his chest, a hand and a leg. However, his situation is not critical. The 14-year-old student is receiving treatment in a ward. A minor surgery was done on him. His situation too is not critical.
The Paliguri police have commenced extensive investigations into the incident. A number of shootings were reported around the island since the beginning of this year. Person killed in a shooting opposite the Balapitiya Magistrates Court. 3 people killed in a shooting in the Geval West area in Valampitiya. Person killed in a shooting that took place in the Marville area in Nathandia during a party. 10th January 2016. Person killed in a shooting that took place in the Gonaheni area in Kadawatha.
The Government Medical Officers Association staged a demonstration opposite the Badulla General Hospital against Minister Harin Fernando. It was reported that tensions brewed at the location following the arrival of Minister Harin Fernando's supporters.
Doctors attached to the Badulla General Hospital staged this demonstration. They marched to the hospital and later staged a demonstration. The doctors charged that Minister Harin Fernando had used unfitting words against Chairman of the GMOA, Dr. Anuruddha Padaniya.
When the minister was speaking on the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or CEPA and our stance, he had called the chairman and other officers of the association as ruffians. Addressing a professional or a regular person in this manner is not suitable at all.
Another group supporting Minister Harin Fernando also demonstrated. As a result of this situation, traffic on the Colombo-Badulla main road was hampered for almost an hour. A correspondent reported that the police had to make a valiant effort to prevent both sides from clashing.
If you lay a hand on even a strand of hair of Minister Harin Fernando, who is the leader of this area, we are prepared to make the sacrifice. We can hear the screams. We will not stop this. As we are moving forward, we are prepared to put our lives on the line for the leader.
Shortly after this incident, Minister Harin Fernando convened a media briefing at his Badulla office.
Dr. Padaniya is the only doctor who removes the tie and wears the suit. Therefore, we have suspicions that he is attempting to enter into politics. What did Palita do? He tried to score some brownie points in this. He is attempting to challenge the ministers in the country. The people are more intelligent. We will not be troubled by this. They need to be troubled to develop that sector. Doctors demonstrating to bring a cat lab to Badulla. Would that not be appreciated?
Gammather, the door-to-door initiative launched by Newsfirst to identify the hardships of the nation and give a voice to the voiceless, commences tomorrow.
Newsfirst Gammather has provided a platform to those living in rural areas to voice their concerns to the authorities directly. Taking a major leap from the traditional Gammather program, this year Newsfirst introduced the Gammather door-to-door campaign in a bid to speak to the people directly, identify their issues and take measures to address them. The campaign is scheduled to reach rural villages in the 25 districts and identify the issues and hardships that they encounter on a daily basis. The 3 main teams that will be actively engaged in this campaign left Newsfirst headquarters in Colombo this morning. The Gammather door-to-door campaign will commence at 9 am tomorrow from the Manalgundu village in Putlam, Monaragala and Jaffna.
We are about an hour away from Jaffna and we are travelling to Jaffna to commence the Gum at the Door-to-Door campaign, which will start from Varne at 9 a.m. tomorrow. So we will be visiting the most rural of areas in Jaffna, and we will be asking the public what their problems are. We will be bringing a limelight to their problems. We will be shedding a light on their problems. That is the aim of Gum at the Door-to-Door campaign. So we urge the people of Jaffna to join us at 9 tomorrow in Varne. For the News First team, I'm Ramesh Bandara on the Colombo-Jaffna A9 highway.
The Gum at the Door-to-Door campaign is supported by the University of Peradeniya.
We have been invited to join the News First, the Gum at the program. With this invitation, we thought that we can deliver our resources to serve the nation by going from home to home and identifying the problems that they have, and to find out the real deep-seated problems in the society.
I think the Newsfirst program, Citizen Newsfirst programs, is giving a good help, and they invite to us to the Peradeniya University to join with these programs. When we are going to understand the ground level problems, actually what we have to do is that we have to go to that place and discuss with the community and try to get out the problems what they have. I think that is the good way. This bottom-up approach is good for the decision makers and the policy makers for the development of the country in future.
Accordingly, starting tomorrow, all concerns and problems can be directed to the News First teams that will visit your respective villages. The News First Gum at the Door-to-Door campaign, which commences tomorrow, will conclude on the 18th of March.
The single largest public service initiative in Sri Lanka, the News First Gum at the Door-to-Door campaign, covering the most rural parts of Sri Lanka, giving a voice to the voiceless. The News First Gum at the Door-to-Door initiative, an unprecedented island-wide campaign in association with the University of Peradeniya.
Welcome back to the news. President of the Asian Development Bank, Takehiko Nakao, called on Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake today.
The President of the Asian Development Bank, Takehiko Nakao, met the Minister of Finance Ravi Karunanayake this morning, where he witnessed the signing of agreements. A statement from the ADB notes that Takehiko Nakao signed an innovative $100 million loan agreement to channel funds to small and medium-sized enterprises through local banks.
We have been back again into the world map, and you could see things changing dramatically. So ADB's continuous support, I must really appreciate. At a time when the government inherited the economy, the revenues were insufficient to pay debt servicing. But owing to the financial discipline that has been inculcated, we have been able to steer clear and navigate the economy through turbulent international times. And today we could say that even though we are going through rough times, we have ensured that none of the problems have been put on to our people. And together, I'm sure we can sense victory before too long.
Following the event, the President of the Asian Development Bank spoke to reporters.
About the macroeconomic condition, the growth rate has been 5%. Last year was 5.5%, and we are expecting the similar growth rate. But there is some problem about fiscal deficit. It's widening, and current account deficit is managed, and inflation rate is also managed. But the key issue for the stability of the economy is to reduce the fiscal deficit by raising revenue to GDP ratio. So one of the very urgent agenda for the government is to address the issues of revenues or fiscal deficit. And to do that, they need better fiscal management, public expenditure management, and also debt management. And we are supporting this capacity building using our TA money, the technical assistance.
The ADB President also added that the Asian Development Bank will scale up lending to Sri Lanka.
We are now prepared to lend more to Sri Lanka to support the development agenda of the country. and we financed about $1.5 billion of projects and programs in the past 3 years. But from 2016 to 18, in 3 years, we are now targeting $2 billion in total.
The program to purchase paddy from the Maha Harvest by the Paddy Marketing Board was halted due to the protests of paddy farmers. Those eligible to sell paddy to the board were only those who had registered with the board via its online registration facility. While it is commendable that progress has been made with regard to endeavours of this nature, it should be pointed out that infrastructure to facilitate this program should also be developed. The question at hand, though, is not what steps should be taken to develop ICT facilities, but rather how should the internet facilities provided to schools can be maintained. Accordingly, the Paddy Marketing Board did away with this form of registration and instead sought to purchase paddy through its usual procurement methods and even organised a national festival for this purpose. Even though the subject minister was scheduled to take part in this national festival, which was held on the 17th of this month within the premises of the Thambatte warehouse in Tirukkovil, ultimately, even the chairman of the board did not show up. It should be noted that even though the Paddy Marketing Board did away with its e-purchasing method, it has created much difficulty for the farmer. This is none other than having the paddy farmers call over to the warehouse in question to collect application forms to sell paddy to the board. The paddy farmers who hereto had obtained these application forms from their respective coordinators realized that something was afoot on this. When these farmers raised questions in this regard on the 17th, the responses were provided not by the chief guest who was scheduled to be present, but rather the district secretary of the area who filled in as the chief guest for the event in the absence of the dignitaries who did not show up.
These farmers have asked me for a solution to the issue they face with regard to these applications. It is not the intention of the government to put these people into difficulty. I have now spoken to the chief executive officer of the board and it has been agreed to go back to the old method of issuing application forms. We are doing all we can for you. We came here on the 17th to collect these forms, but have not been issued with these forms. On the 18th or the 19th, they issued some forms to us and told us to come again on Monday. They took these forms and asked us to come here again today. Now they have taken these forms. We are now told that we have to fill up these forms and have them certified by the DO officer before submitting them. This is such a waste of time and money.
In these circumstances, isn't the paddy farmer getting disheartened with the shortcomings of authorities and falling prey to the paddy mafia? Chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board, this is over to you.
The Scout motto is "Be prepared," which means you are always in the state of readiness in mind and body to do your duty.
Scouting for boys was initiated by Lord Baden-Powell many years ago, and how do the Scouts spend their days in camp?
Newsfirst Vasanta Pradeep Masinghage reports from the 9th Scouts Jamboree in Jaffna.
Around 10,000 scouts have set up camp at the 9th Scout Jamboree in Jaffna. We made our way to the camp set up by the scouts of the Thambutegama Central College. Take a look at this camp. Everything was set up by the scouts themselves. Everything is in order. They have arranged everything that they need in a very organized manner. We came here during the afternoon and some of the scouts have gone to attend various activities. Another group are at the camp.
දවල්ට කන්න ලෑස්ති කරනවානේ කී දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා 33ක් ඉන්නවා දැන් 33කට උයන්නේ නේ කී දෙනෙක් උයනවා 5 දෙනෙක් ඒ කියන්නේ අද දවසේ ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ අද ඕගොල්ලෝ හෙට වෙන කණ්ඩායමක් නේ මොනවද හදන්නේ බෝංචි බාතුයි බිත්තරයි එච්චරයි ගෙදරත් උයනවා ඈ ගෙදර උයනවද උයන්න උදව් වෙනවද දැන් අපිටත් කන්න පුළුවන් වේද ඔවා ඈ පුළුවන් නේ හරි හරි එහෙනම් අපිත් දවල්ට කාලයක් ඉන්නේ හරි එහෙම තමයි බාල දක්ෂයින් ඉතින් මේ කණ්ඩායම හැමෝටම අද
That is the nature of a scout. This group is cooking for everyone in their troop. Another group will prepare dinner and another group will prepare food tomorrow. Everything takes place via group activities.
බලමු ඒ කොහොමද කියලා
The meals that were prepared were shared amongst all in the troop while enjoying the life in the camp.
ගොඩක් හොඳයි කඳවුරේ කුඩාරම් එහෙම හොඳට හදලා දෙනවා අපි සමීප ආරක්ෂක කටයුතු හොඳට තියෙනවා
අත්දැකීමක් ලබන්න පුළුවන් අපි මේ කදවුරක අත්දැකීම් ලැබලා නැහැ මේ අපේ පළවෙනි කදවුර සහෝදරත්වයේ මිත්‍රශීලීත්වය ගොඩනගා ගන්න පුළුවන් හොඳ කදවුරක් කියලා මම හිතනවා මේ වගේ ව්‍යාපාරයකින් රටේ යහපත් පුරවැසියෙක් බිහි වෙනවා
And that's a wrap of your Prime Time News. I'm Aishwarya Pinto from Newsfirst.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.